I am not going to start this part of the essay with some cheap gimmick, some humorous little jape. I am here now to talk to you about some of the great questions. The questions that echoed in the primitive brainstems of our most primordial ancestors. Who are we? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Every civilization, even predating recorded history, had its creation myths, and myths about man's relationship with his creators and progenitors. The peoples of ancient Mesopotamia had their ideas on the subject. The Sumerians, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, Chaldeans, the Hittites, Canaanites, the Prussians. They etched their stories in their cuneiform tablets, from which we of this modern era have pieced together the battle of the dragoness Tiamat with the god of storms Marduk, the epic of Gilgamesh, the great flood, and Utnapishtim with his great ship, the preserver of life, gods and demigods, angels and demons, heroes and monsters. Ernest Scared Stupid and The Born Losers both tell allegorical fables rich with mythological imagery of outsiders defending towns under threat by unequivocally evil forces preying upon the young. These evil forces are fueled by and reflections of the misdeeds and failures of the parents and forebears in each town. The protagonists engage in a final confrontation with the evil in the days surrounding a profound religious holiday tied to the defeat of evil. A cloud of original sin hangs over the populace, living in exile from an idyllic Eden in a township whose name evokes the barren and hostile side of nature. Billy Jack roams the countryside, remembering a past life taming the abundant wild horses. The herds are gone, and in their place is the stark town of Big Rock. The town's founders, and Ernest Scared Stupid, speak of their ancestors in the old world, chased away by an unnatural evil to the thorny village of Briarville, Missouri. But not only are both towns identified with the lands to which Adam and Eve were exiled, they are also closely aligned with the accursed cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, hostile to outsiders, willing to surrender their innocent children to the evil throbbing hordes, just waiting on inevitable divine judgment. The villains of The Born Losers, the eponymous biker gang, have defaced the walls of their hangout with the words of Heinrich Himmler. As you are, I was. As I am, you will be. The theme of abusive parents passing their destructiveness on to their children permeates the entirety of the Billy Jack series. In Billy Jack, Postner berates his son Bernard for not wishing to shoot the defenseless wild horses, and the son later turns his rifle towards humans to earn his father's approval. Barbara is abused by her father, the deputy, and she grows self-destructive and cynical. The titular Born Losers were born to lose due to their parentage. The biker Speechless is so named because his stepfather cut his tongue out as a kid. Daniel, their leader, is driven by his resentment of his abusive father and recruits his brother Jerry, who is the new target of that abuse. When Daniel's father spits in his face, Daniel responds by eating the goober of spit, consuming its hatred, and miming his own spit in return. The theme of Parental poisoning is present in Ernest Scared Stupid as well. Trantor the Troll is described as an ancient evil that has followed the settlers to the New World. It seems implausible that a literal troll could have followed them across an ocean. Rather, the troll self-evidently represents something that was a part of their predecessors that is now a part of them. When Phineas Worrell declares that roots will be your prison, he means that the troll will literally be imprisoned by the roots of a tree. But, on another level, we can easily imagine it as a prophecy that a generation is doomed by the sins of its forebears. The roots of the town can be understood to be planted in the very hate represented by Trantor. The Murdoch boys directly mirror their mayor father's cruelty. Murdoch the Elder orders old Lady Hackmore's artwork at her spooky home be destroyed, and his sons bully Kenny and his friends by tearing down their art, a spooky haunted house they built. One can easily see the parallel. Though he didn't know his father very well, Ernest himself is at the mercy of his family name, Worrell, and the locals have a legend that his family is cursed to grow ever dumber due to the failings of its progenitor, Phineas. Yes, well, the villains I now see of both films are classical Luciferian archetypes. Daniel is very much a leader of fallen angels, a charismatic figure leading a gang of bikers, evocative of the Hells Angels, culled from disaffected youths to rebel against their elders. He emblazons his followers with blasphemous iconography, tempting Vecchi in the presence of a snake-dancing woman, and ever aspires to greatness and mastery over those he resents. He knew Billy Jack from a long-ago era when he had to settle for being second best. Trantor the Troll was arch-nemesis to the pious Phineas Worrell as Satan to God, like the serpent of Eden lurking beside a forbidden tree, tempting and threatening mankind with its forbidden fruits, the obscene, pulsating Brussels sprouts.
I hate Brussels.
And like Satan, the bikers and the troll are princes of lies, hunting their prey through deceit and subterfuge.
Hey, I gotcha.
Thanks, Ernest. You saved me. I thought I was a goner.
He's not in. Over here, Kenny.
Cannot escape. It's time to join your little friends.
Apathy and selfishness allow evil to flourish, as hate is a state of nature. We see this in the opening credits of The Born Losers, as Billy traipses through the hills, witnessing an eagle slaughter a rabbit and splaying its guts upon the grass. When he makes it into town and witnesses the biker gang brutally beating a young man, he puts a stop to it by brandishing his rifle. This act of heroism earns a harsher punishment than the biker's assault, leading to Billy Jack's diagnosis of the moral degradation of the town of Big Rock. In the opening minutes of Scared Stupid, Ernest, too, critiques the spiritual decay in Briarville. When trapped inside his garbage truck's trash compactor and faced with imminent death, he seizes upon a baby doll and acts out a dialogue wherein the doll pleads with him to spare her life, and he declares that it's everyone for himself before jamming her into the gears. This pantomime mimics the apathy of the town's adults towards their children, the selfishness infecting the town at large, and the inevitable child sacrifices to the grinding cogs of the town's generational wheel. In the two towns, the parents are absent and neglectful. The sheriffs are weak and ineffectual. God is dead. The villains thrive in this vacuum. The young women and the born losers are made vulnerable by their parents. Vicky is only in Big Rock after her fink of a father cancels his visit because his business trip is more important. Jodelle Shawn is blamed for her assault by her two-bit hustler of a mother, and then left entirely alone in her moment of most danger. Other women, to spite their hypocritical parents, are drawn to the bikers by their blasphemous charisma. They're everything you hate. The parents of Briarville repeatedly dismiss and ignore their children's fear and warnings about trolls. This obviously leads to the children having their souls stolen one by Trantor. Coincidentally, the bikers need to silence 5 witnesses to defeat their looming indictments and run wild, while Trantor needs 5 children to unleash his army of evil. Also, when he catches a child and the child looks upon him, they are transformed into an inanimate wooden doll, not dissimilar to the baby doll from earlier in the garbage truck, and not dissimilar either to Lot's wife from the Bible. The neglect in Briarville extends beyond one's own children to one's fellow man. Outsiders like Ernest and Old Lady Hackmore are shunned. The clerk at the convenience store goes about his mundane business even after witnessing the troll. One man continues to complain about the trash service, even as numerous children by then are gone missing. And local capitalist swindlers, Tom and Bobby Tulip, are more interested in getting rich and famous with photographs of trolls, even as their fellow citizens wage apocalyptic war against the demonic hordes. Am I my brother's keeper? I would like to circle back for a moment to the scene where Daniel picks up his brother Jerry. Their father warns Jerry that if he gets on that bike, he's dead.
You're dead.
Daniel welcomes him aboard, presenting himself as a caring brother, but in actuality sealing Jerry's doom and an ultimate spiritual annihilation. The father spits in Daniel's face, branding him as God did the murderous brother Cain. And if loogies and phlegm be the mark of Cain, who else bears it in as much abundance as old Boogerlips himself, Trantor the Troll? Like Cain, Trantor with his Brussels sprouts is a farmer. Trantor has 2 noses. Tell me, what is the significance of the 2 noses if it is not a remnant of a twin brother? Trantor had to have been the dominant half of a split zygote, absorbing, consuming, devouring the weaker twin in utero. Trantor is fratricidal by birth. As we know from the Billy Jack series, to overcome hate, love must become a driving, dynamic, positive force. In the trial of Billy Jack, it is the fourth and final level of human growth shown to Billy in his vision quest. Its representation is Jean, who is the answer to Billy's part in the series' cyclical violence. Carol breaks an abused little boy, also named Danny, by the way, out of his traumatized, violent shell with enduring, unconditional love. In Billy Jack, Martin breaks through Barbara's self-loathing by not trying to lay her, so that she might know he loves her purely for who she is, gifting her the treasured prayer left him by his deceased mother. Even in the Born Losers, we see the people of Big Rock treating each of the victims with pity while pressuring them to testify, berating them when they waver, while Billy Jack accepts Vicky unconditionally, respecting her ability and right to decide without any coercion. And though ultimately the solution to the bikers' reign of terror requires a little bit of violence, Billy shoots Daniel in the face, the last scene is Vicky declaring her love for Billy. And it is this love that is everything. The sunset and the sunrise, a new cycle replacing the era of fear and darkness. And obviously, unconditional love is the key to defeating Trantor the Troll. Milk, the symbol of a mother's care, of meeting a person's material needs. It can wound him, but he is strengthened by the violent hatred of the townsfolk until Milk is inadequate to ultimately destroy him, as the material cannot address emotional and spiritual needs. Love must be wielded actively against him. The two people who come to understand this are the outsiders, Ernest and Old Lady Hackmore. They are working to defend this town in spite of being shunned. Their love is potent enough that they even extend it to those who cannot feel it, speaking lovingly to the wooden dog Rimshot and the wooden children Old Lady Hackmore keeps inside her house. And of course, it is Ernest who, faced with the menace of the rejuvenated Trantor, expels his own hate and desire for vengeance, and replaces it with a loving embrace and a tender kiss. Thus, Trantor the Troll is defeated, and by extension, the Briarville's parents' numbed hearts are reawakened with love for their children, now expressed openly and unreservedly. You are no doubt shouting at me, Sir, this is all very Christ-like. You've spoken of Eden and Satan, nay Lucifer, and Cain. But what of the Christ? Get a hold of yourself, my friend. Let me pour myself another scotch, and I shall tell you who is the Christ in these films.
You know, Jimmy, a hungry lion hunts best, but an army travels on its stomach. Know what I mean?
All right, I'm back. It is Ernest who is the Christ-like heir to the Godhead, Phineas Whirl. He is the chosen one, the seventh son of the seventh son, the prophesied savior to Briarville, anointed by an eccentric voice in the wilderness, baptized with the iced cream. A carpenter, who teaches his apostles with parables, who brings about the resurrection of the dead through his triumph at the foot of a great tree.
Michael, I missed you.
Yet, in the ultimate irony, he is also Judas Iscariot, who, with a kiss, condemns another to death. As to the Born Losers, I don't think it would be at all controversial to claim that Vicky is a representation of the Sumerian fertility goddess Inanna, known by her 8-pointed star, and Billy Jack, the tamer of wild horses, of her lover, the shepherd god Dumuzid. All the people who knew how to pronounce it are dead or mummies now. Known later to the Akkadians as Ishtar and Tammuz, their love story is tragic, with Inanna journeying into the underworld, ritualistically stripped of her garments in the process.
Yeah, it means I'd have to be dead 3 days before I'd let you touch me.
And ultimately, after 3 days and nights, as a corpse, trading places with her beloved Dumuzid, who is killed in her stead. But through the lens of Christianity, the duties of Christ are shared between Billy Jack and Vicky. Together they are the sunset and the sunrise, the alpha and the omega.
You and I, we are the sunset and the sunrise and the forest.
Billy Jack curses the bank and money changers like Prang. Billy imparts wisdom to Vicky through magic tricks, or miracles more aptly. Billy rejects a mock baptism of gasoline by crabs, a perversion of John the Baptist. Billy and Vicky are anointed by the astrologer in the cafeteria, who serves more as a magi, I think, than a Baptist. Billy and Vicky each offer themselves as a sacrifice to save the other. Vicky even donning the same clothes as Billy when it is her turn to step up. You see there one. And Billy figuratively ascends to heaven when he is airlifted by helicopter into the setting sun. Now I think that Trantor is also a direct analog of Salome, the daughter of Herod's queen, whose dancing pleased the king so much that she was granted her wish of John the Baptist's head on a silver platter. Now, Trantor, after dominating all contestants in a costume contest, demands the head of Ernest P. Worrell. Granted, it's not on a silver platter.
We're known for our charm, wit, and sparkling dinner conversation. Know what I mean?
Ernest?
What in the name of Almighty Marduk is going on here? You know, it occurs to me to ask, is there a chapter in the Old Testament where a woman or a girl is lectured by her mother, who leaves her alone by herself at her most vulnerable, and then she speaks to her favorite stuffed animal, specifically addressing it by name, right before a villain appears behind her to terrify and capture her? I mean, is there a psalm about that?
Come on, Double Ugly. You do pretty well against little kids and dogs. Let's see how you deal with a real man. Come on.
Go ahead, hate your neighbor. Go ahead, cheer your friend. Do it in the name of heaven. You can justify it in the end. There won't be any trumpets blowing. Come the judgment day. On the bloody morning after. When